Welcome to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Erik.
Cleveland!
Welcome into At the Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Erik, and I'm joined by my co-host, Noah. You can join us at the office as well. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or you can call or text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Noah, first show in the post-John era. How we feeling?
I'm feeling immaculate because they are giving my boy Shedeur Sanders a chance to start in a preseason game, but we'll hold off on that and show against some first-string Carolina Panthers for 8 to 12 plays, but we'll put that to a side. In the first preseason game of the year, Friday at 7 p.m. Yes, I know I said Saturday at our live show at the Hofbrauhaus, but it is Friday. Got a shirt. A new one for those who have been watching for a while. Yeah, so what had happened was the other one I was wearing when I was doing my house cleaning, and I was cleaning my bathtub, and I got
you
some
ruined
bleach
it
on.
with bleach?
I did.
No.
So now we have a white one, but honestly, I'm fine with the white because you can mix it with some of the brown stuff instead of trying to do gold on orange, on brown, on black. So here we are. We're feeling good.
Is there any saving? Like, can you put a little bleach in a spray bottle or something and just make it a unique shirt?
That's what Bree and I have talked about doing with it. I just have not gotten that far. And there were no more shirts in stock when that happened. And I saw this pop up on Rally House for a cool like $30 instead of $50 like the other one was. So I grabbed it real quick. Why not? You know what I mean?
Ruined the $50 t-shirt. Anybody that says Noah is not a Shedeur fan is out of their mind. Because he's obviously a fan. We're going to touch more on Shedeur, obviously, in a little bit. And we have a lot to get to, actually. Cleveland sports is on fire right now. But let's start like we always do with 30-second takes and the news that the Browns had offers for Dillon Gabriel during the draft after they drafted one Shedeur Sanders. Noah, I want you to put the clock up for yourself in a second. You see the tweet here, though. After trading up to take Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, the Browns rejected multiple trade offers for Dillon Gabriel, preferring to move forward with both rookies. Put that clock up for yourself. Give me your thoughts here.
Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts. And my thoughts are, hold on one second. Let me get it all restarted and set for us. My thoughts are that it wasn't working. Now it's working. I don't know. It's freezing. Cut the cap. No one wants this bump. No, I'm just kidding. I was a hater on Saturday. I understand why some NFL executives and some NFL coaches feel a certain type of way about Dillon Gabriel, and it's because he has all of the traits except the height, and I think we've seen that ring true in terms of his performance so far, the height affecting those other traits. But I see why this may or may not have happened. Erik, your turn.
Yeah, I think this is a nothing story that I'm not sure what you're doing with the clock there. I think this is a nothing story that people are putting out there. Of course, they got some offers. I don't think it was anything interesting, though. I think they were probably like a 5th rounder kind of thing, which they weren't going to take, especially where they took him in the draft. Listen, this is what happens in the draft. Teams call, they do their due diligence, and they say, hey, you just took Shedeur, you got him for cheap. Why don't you give us Dillon for cheap? We weren't going to do that. I think we might have reached for Dillon Gabriel, time's up, but I think we might have reached for him where we grabbed him, and maybe some people are regretting that a little bit. But this is a nothing story. What'll be interesting is how we move forward from here, which we're going to talk about that battle in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a nothing story. I think a lot of people didn't expect us. I mean, obviously, we ourselves didn't even expect for us to take two quarterbacks in the draft. So if you had some interest in Dillon Gabriel and then saw the Browns take Shedeur Sanders, yeah, of course, you might as well give a ring and see if you can offer up, like, even if it was like a fourth for the upcoming draft now. I get it, but to me, I think anybody with a right football mind has already seen what's gone on with Dillon Gabriel to this point and understands that, oh, the intangible that he unfortunately does not have, which is the height, has become such a factor where he has been very messy, to say the very least, in training camp. And, even from an eye test, you can see that.
And yet, one Shedeur Sanders is fourth on the depth chart. We'll get to that. We're not going to get to it now. At the Office is sponsored by D&D Meadery, makers of the finest mead in Northeast Ohio. Twin brothers Derek and Dominic, they turned their German winemaking roots into liquid gold. Centuries of tradition now bottled for you. It's not just mead, it's history reborn. And trust me, the award-winning honey wine that Noah's holding right there, it is the real deal. Here's the best part. If you use the code @the-office CLE, see it on the screen there, @the-office CLE. If you use that code when you order, you'll get an extra 5% off your order. And if you order 2 or more bottles, you will get this free shot glass. Come on. Which is not dishwasher safe, Noah will tell you. So keep that out of the dishwasher. Visit dndmeadery.org. You can order online and use that code, or you can find a retail location near you where you can purchase as well. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. All right, Noah. Adam the Bull had a strong take on the Browns roster. We'll get into it more on this edition of... The question here is, should the Browns name their week 1 starting quarterback? Adam the Bull had this to say.
One more thing I just want to say about this is that I think the Browns should name a starting quarterback this weekend after this game. Because, it's easy for us on the outside to say the team's going to stink. And listen, I don't think they're going to be any good. I think they're going to be lousy. But the team you can't go into the season as the team, the coaches, the players thinking, we're going to suck. I mean, maybe some of them do. But for the veterans on this team, they want to win. They don't want to hear about draft picks. And no matter who they start at quarterback, they might not win.
Yeah.
But my guess is the majority of players on the Browns think Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win right now. Doesn't mean he will in week 6, week 10, week 15. That right now, my guess is that the players think Joe gives them the best chance to win. And if the coaching staff believes that too, then don't mess around. After this game, if he's healthy, if he, looks normal, nothing wrong with his arm or whatever, name him the starter. Or even if you want it to be somebody else, whatever. I just name the guy the starter and let's go. Because it's time for the starting quarterback to get ready for the season. And that doesn't mean that the young guys can't continue to learn and get experience, but it's time to get ready for the season now. And so, you don't want to go in, you don't want to be naming the quarterback like 10 days before the start of the season.
Noah, I'm going to jump in here first.
Go ahead, man.
Because it's such a strange take to me. I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point that Joe Flacco is going to be the week 1 starter. Barring something crazy, I think everybody kind of knows that. So why Bull is, first of all, I don't think it gives us any benefit to name the guy right now. So what are some of the benefits of naming a starter early? You can establish leadership and chemistry. Got that already. Don't need that. You maximize the reps for the starter. Everybody's getting reps across the board. So again, doesn't really make sense. Like it's not like he's a new guy in brown and orange either. So what exactly is this? Why does Bull need the name starter right now when pretty much everybody knows it's likely Joe Flacco? Like, It's very unlikely. How the rest of the roster shapes up, I think it's going to be more interesting, but I don't think we need that answer right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't get where this is coming from. It was at the tail end. They were talking about the quarterback battle and the debate and who's getting reps. I believe it had to do with actually the depth chart coming out 1 through 4. And this was from Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So credit to them for this clip, of course. I just don't get why you would even remotely care to think or ask or bring up the fact about naming a starter after one preseason game. You know how many times in the past that teams haven't named their starting quarterback until mid to late August? I'll give you an example. I'll give you a popular one. Kansas City Chiefs, 2023, Patrick Mahomes. Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton. 2023 is not the right date on that. Apologies. I must have copy and pasted the wrong way. Dallas Cowboys, though, the year Dak started the season hurt, they went down to the wire with Andy Dalton and Ben DiNucci before they named the regular season starter a week before. And make no mistake, it's not like we have a franchise quarterback for sure on this roster right now. So to compare our situation to that, to me, is not that asinine. You could go down the list. You could go to the New England Patriots. You could talk about the Miami Dolphins with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen when people still believed in Josh Rosen. There's so many examples of this, of them letting it ride out until the very last minute, that to name a starter in week 1, Browns for Life on X said it exactly. No, don't do it. Let it ride. Let's let the Cincy think about who it'll be all the way up until the last minute. We don't have to announce anything, in my opinion. That's just me.
Right. Which, by the way, Adam's take almost sounds like he thinks the Browns don't know who the starter's going to be. Just because they're not announcing it to the media or wider public doesn't mean they don't know internally who that starter's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. I think they have signaled so far with the order of how reps have gone and all of that, who the starter is, and that is one Joe Flacco. I think Kenny Pickett has done some good things to move himself in a position to continue to potentially win that job. But even if we take it away and say they don't know who they're going to start yet, that's totally fine. We brought 4 new quarterbacks into the room, 5 now with Tyler Huntley. We'll get to that in a little bit as well because he's going to be playing in the preseason game. But we brought in 5 new quarterbacks who were not on the roster last season. Of course they don't know yet. We just started training camp 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is again another nothing thing, just trying to drum up, more controversy here in Cleveland. I'm curious what you think the rest of the roster is going to play out, though. We both agree that Flacco's our starter, right?
Yeah.
So come week 1 against Cincy, who is the number 2 and the number 3?
Oh, we've talked about it at length on here. I am of the camp that they are going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster at this point. And we will see how that goes. I think it'll be a 1A, 1B situation in their minds. They'll say Flacco 1, Pickett 2, unless he continues to impress. He had some great balls at training camp. Obviously, we'll get into that after the ad break, even in a limited role. And then the rookies as well. And with how everything has been signaled so far, and I don't know, I guess this is kind of a good transition to go to ad break and then come back and talk about depth chart, training camp, everything that's happened this week so far. But it seems like they are still going to continue to favor Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders until there is an absolute moment. But maybe that absolute moment's Friday.
Yeah, I think he has an opportunity, which we'll touch on in a minute. The other thing I want to touch on when we come back from break is who these quarterbacks will be throwing to. We saw a look at that side of the depth chart as well, and there's some question marks, frankly. That said, we'll get into it in a second, so we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We're going to continue the Browns talk after this. Welcome back to At the Office. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check us out on Instagram and TikTok as well. Make sure you get in on the action and get some At the Office merch. I know we keep teasing that new merch is on its way, but Noah and I were sharing some designs that we had with one another today. So stuff's actually getting designed at least. It's not available yet. If for some reason you guys are just dying to get your hands on some new merch, let us know. Text the show. We can get some personal orders out for you guys and give you pricing for personal things, but eventually that stuff will be posted.
In the meantime, of course. And we have some fantastic designs, some designs that are going to lean into some personal interests, as well as, of course, the teams we know and love here in Cleveland. So make sure you check it out as it comes to fruition. Erik did tease a design at the Hofbrauhaus show. If you haven't checked it out already, that t-shirt is fire. The shirt I was wearing is fire too, but I don't know if that's going to be anyone can have it, or if that's going to be a personal keeper. We will see on my t-shirt, at least. I don't want to talk for Erik.
Yeah, no, I think the one I was wearing will definitely be available for purchase for anybody. That's funny though. You said personal interest. Are you gonna make me design you a Pokemon at the office style
No,
shirt?
no, no. I mean, you could. I wouldn't complain. You give me Pikachu dropping back to throw a touchdown or maybe an interception because he's also short like Dillon Gabriel. But no, no. I was talking more so about pickleball and how we both enjoy pickleball. That was what I was referring to there.
That was a good segue, though, because as we were mentioning before the break, there's so much going on with the Browns. They started joint practices with the Panthers this week ahead of their first preseason matchup on Friday. Friday at 7 o'clock for those wanting to tune in. Football is back, baby. I'm so excited. Birthday Saturday. I get to kick it off with a Browns W, maybe? Uh, there you go. It is not in Cleveland, though, Christine. It is away. Um, so that's Friday at 7. Biggest news, though, and we mentioned it off the rip, the biggest news is that Shedeur Sanders was named the starting quarterback Friday, despite being fourth on the depth chart. He and Tyler Huntley, who was recently re-signed, will split the QB duties for the entire game. Noah, let's start with Shedeur. Thoughts on being fourth on the depth chart?
Well, let's play that clip real quick of Kevin Stefanski officially announcing it today, and then we can go into Shedeur fourth on the depth chart since you talked about all of that. Is that cool with you? Thumbs up. He's drinking his Gatorade. No worries.
On the game itself, we got game Friday night coming up. We'll rest some starters. Some players will play, obviously holding out some guys due to injury, as you know. And then we'll play Shedeur at quarterback. We just signed Snoop Huntley, as you guys saw. We'll get Snoop back up to speed quickly. He's been in a couple different offenses since we last saw him, so he's doing a great job of working at it. But it's a great opportunity for all of our young players in that.
So you asked me. Go ahead.
Real quick before you jump in, my biggest takeaway from that video, did you know that Tyler Huntley's nickname was Snoop?
I did. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
He's been on the roster before. You should know these things, Erik. You do
Listen,
this podcast thing.
I don't pay attention to fourth string quarterbacks unless they're named Shedeur.
You act like he doesn't have a chance to start for us. Hasn't he started games for us already?
Yeah, when we were on our fourth string quarterback.
No, I think it was preseason, actually. Regardless. So Shedeur being at fourth string, not surprising. Anything that we've seen, whether it was even today during the joint practice with Carolina, throughout the weeks, throughout the time camp was open to the fans prior to the preseason games, Shedeur has solidly been in that fourth string role. I don't think they are really getting to the evaluation of these guys until there's more live compete periods against other teams. We have obviously this week with Carolina, whether it was not the open practice, but the practice between the two teams today or the preseason game on Friday at 7 p.m., as well as next week they have practice with the Eagles twice and a preseason game with the Eagles, which they do pretty often. Those are two close organizations if you've ever listened to me talk on the show. So am I surprised? No. Do I think it's going to change? I hope so. I know how the media and how a lot of the Colorado Browns fans have shaped the narrative of he needs to get first team reps right away. In due time, I think it's going to come. But he's looked good, and as long as he continues to look good, there's no reason they're going to not shoot him up the depth chart. What do you think?
Listen, the fact is Shedeur Sanders is learning. the NFL is not college. He's in a brand new offensive scheme that he's not used to. The other players on the depth chart obviously have some more experience ahead of him. Dillon Gabriel, he might not be what we're looking for, and he might not have shined recently, but the transition from the offense that he was playing to what the Browns are running in that pro style format is an easier transition than one Shedeur. That's not to say that Shedeur, like you said, isn't going to shoot up the depth chart, because I expect the exact same thing. We might go into the season with 4 quarterbacks, but we're not keeping 4 on the roster throughout the season. And I don't think that Shedeur's on the chopping block. I don't get that feeling. I could be wrong.
I don't think anybody truly thinks either of the rookies are on the chopping block at this point. And if you do, I want to know where that opinion's coming from, because why would they get rid of 2 rookie quarterbacks when we're in a situation where we need a quarterback so damn bad? And us getting one this year would behoove us way more than it would be to using both of our first round picks next year, because we could use those on positions we need, like an offensive lineman, like another wide receiver, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and listen, I hate this talk about Arch Manning next year. First of all, I'm not even sure he won't still be in college next year, but the kid has played 2 games in college so far. Started 2 games, I should say. The fact that he's supposedly the Brown savior that they're going to draft is insane. But we're being so forward looking. I think the line on the Browns is 3.5 wins this season out of Vegas. So I
Something
think
like
people are
that.
just, which I still think is ridiculous. But that said, I mentioned it off the rip. Who exactly will they be throwing to? I think that's a big question. Wide receiver 1 is Jerry Jeudy right now. I think the Browns make a move to add somebody and add some depth there. I don't know, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know about wide receiver. I think Deontay Johnson has looked solid at practice. It's all about if he can keep his head on right. We've talked about that before on the show as well. The clip of him talking about how he just wasn't there mentally and it made him look horrible, with the quotables that came out of that podcast interview. I think they like what they have. I think they like what they saw out of Tillman last year. I think they believe they can keep Deontay Johnson under wraps and cool for whatever reason, because we have never been great at doing that. See Exhibit XYZQRS that has happened since this
He
front
is
office has taken over.
he is listed as a backup though right now, isn't he?
He is listed as a backup, but that doesn't matter. And I wanna take a step back for a second, because you're talking about the current depth chart. The depth chart at this point in time, to me, is such a waste of time and space and care, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. None of this is going to be even remotely close to what it looks like by the time we get to the season anyway. It's about playing games with people's heads so we make sure they're in the right direction, or uh, putting names where other teams that we're actually going to play in the regular season might not think or worry about what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know. I feel like we're still one guy needed. I think we have seen steps like you said. But Jerry Jeudy, I love the guy, but he's not a number 1 guy. I do think we'll see a tight end heavy scheme, especially with Fannin looking pretty good, and Stefanski likes to run that anyway.
Yeah,
So
the
it should be
12 personnel.
interesting looking at that setup. But that said, did you see the play where Flacco had like a 60-yard bomb to I'm
Jerry
blanking.
Jeudy?
Yes,
Wasn't it Judy today?
it
Yeah,
was
I
Jeudy.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
Flacco looked good at training camp, and I don't know. Do you want to use this as our transition to get into training camp a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk more. So it's their first joint practice with the Panthers, who they play on Friday. What do you want to talk about? I want to talk about the fact that Andy Dalton's still playing football, which is wild to me.
Yeah, that was a funny name to see pop up when we were looking at like Daniel Fusi and Zach Jackson and whatnot, the people who are at camp and talking about what's going on with the team during joint practice. But yeah, no, that was a funny one to
He
hear.
threw a pick too.
He did throw a pick today. That did happen. There was a lot of good quotables. I want to start my take with a good quotable and a funny quotable. Are you cool with that, E?
Yeah, let's do it.
The first quotable, the good one. Myles Garrett said he feels an attention to detail and attention to discipline that wasn't always here last year. That was a great quote. Both Zach Jackson and Daniel Fusi got that pulled from Myles Garrett. I'm assuming every reporter heard him say that and probably have that in their articles. The funny one, however, is a few more snaps for Flacco. Now Huntley is in. I just don't get it. Even Allen Iverson would admit that this is an important practice. That was Zach Jackson tweeting during practice, talking about why Shedeur Sanders wasn't getting a lot of reps when he is starting the game on Friday. So there is the tale of two coins with what's going on with this team right now.
Again, I think it's nothing. It'll be interesting to see how Shedeur looks, though. Obviously, timing has to do a lot with quarterbacks and receivers, and potentially working with different guys during that. I heard a lot of talk about why is Huntley being brought in. Well, we just don't have the guys. You're not going to start Flacco. Two guys are hurt. You need guys to take reps. Again, another nothing story. It should be fun, though. I'm so looking forward to Friday. I think the defense is shaping up pretty well. We've talked about this a lot better, in my mind anyway, than the offense.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, running back makes me nervous. We were talking a little more about what's going to happen there.
So why does running back make you nervous? Because I'm trying to find the comment from Dylan Northrup. He sent it a little bit earlier and said, I haven't heard a word about Dylan Sampson. Is there any word on his performance in camp thus far? I've seen and read some things. I've heard some things. I wanted to know what bothered you, per se.
No, it's not that anything bothered me. I just our guy isn't there, and that sucks.
Yeah.
I think that, Sampson's obviously his opportunities expanding by default now. I just, Jerome Ford's the number one guy. I'm not hot on him. I don't think he's that special.
You're referring to the depth chart again, correct?
Correct. I mean, generally speaking, he's probably the one guy.
Yeah.
I just, he's never been that electric spark that I thought Quinshon could come in and be for us. Obviously, I'm comparing backs to the guy we let go, right? And when you let Nick Chubb go, regardless of injury, the comparisons are going to follow, and it's tough because I don't know if that's fair. But in order to do what we need to do and have a play action offense, which again, Stefanski likes in that pro style, we need guys that can eat up yards and break some off. And I just don't know, I'm not impressed so far is what I'm saying. I think that I'm excited for Sampson. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see him. And he's got high upside, but we just don't know yet.
Yeah, so you hit on two notes that I want to go down. One is the Nick Chubb note, and then obviously the Dylan Sampson note. Aside from the viral clip of Carson Schlesinger blowing him up in the gap during one of our open practices before we went to Carolina,
Looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, he does look amazing. I know we don't focus on the defense enough because all the talking points are over on the offense, but the defense is as advertised this season. Back to Dylan Sampson, though. Dylan Sampson, from everything that I've heard, everything I've listened to, everything I've read, has been looking pretty solid at camp. So don't be afraid by the fact that he was a 5th round or 4th round pick, I forget off the top of my head, and he's a smaller running back but runs in that big body style. There's still a lot of good things coming out about Dylan Sampson. It does suck that Quinshon Judkins is not at camp still because obviously they were going to give him that bell cow role, and now we're trying to kind of cobble it together with Pierre Strong, Jerome Ford, and of course Dylan Sampson. Now you mentioned Nick Chubb, and I am not coming on here to slander Nick Chubb. I would never do such a thing.
But
from all accounts at Texans practice, especially since he's had to step up into that running back one role with the injuries they have going on over there, it hasn't been super pretty. That report came out today that Nick Chubb hasn't been super pretty. I mean, there's a lot of things to love about Nick Chubb. It's all the same stuff that we love about Nick Chubb, but it hasn't been pretty in terms of the output on the field and having that burst that Nick Chubb used to have.
Let me back you up a little bit because I was in favor of moving on from Chubb, as hard of
Correct.
as a decision as it was.
Yeah.
And what I meant by that is comparing rookies or the successor to the kind of success that he had
That's
in the
fair, yeah.
past, not where he's at now. I will say you mentioned Samson, not being a workhorse kind of guy. He's not a 3 down back. That's the biggest problem. He's more of a change of pace back. And that's my issue with Samson. Not that he's not going to be good for us. He's just not going to be the guy out there constantly, and he's not meant to be.
No, he's not meant to be, but that's where you hope that you can have a Jerome Ford, which in a smaller role, first of all, I think Jerome Ford still fits on this roster and has a spot, whether that be with the Judkins or whatnot. Yeah, it still sucks and it's still scary that Judkins isn't here. And what are we going to do at running back in an offense that is supposed to be so run heavy?
Right.
That's a place where I wonder if they make a move the longer this gets played out, because there's rumors that Judkins is going to fight for his name, and glory is the first word that I came from, but he's going to fight to honor his name basically and say that none of this stuff happened. This is, again, rumors. I'm not speaking for the guy or the case or whatever.
Well,
But
hold on.
there's
Let's jump in a little bit because
okay.
I do think it's important to note, obviously that 911 call came out in July, and off
Wait,
the
Eric,
rip,
do you want to tell the people about when you sent it to me though?
I sent it to Noah like 3 days ago.
Yesterday.
Um, was it yesterday?
It was
Oh, well, I
yesterday. And
sent
you
it
were
to
like,
Noah
why haven't we talked
yesterday.
about this on the show? And I was like, we already did.
We didn't talk about it on the show though.
We didn't play the clip, but yes, we did talk about the 911 call coming out regardless.
Whatever. I have what Bruce Willis has. Let's move on. Listen, what I'm trying to say though is you should always believe the woman first and foremost.
100%.
But I'll say it's a little dicey here. She calls 911 5 days after the supposed incident happened, the alleged incident. Still has bruises on her body, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, PSA, don't call 911 if it's not an emergency. The funny thing about the 911 clip, maybe it's not funny, but the guy who answered sounded kind of annoyed. 911 is for actual emergencies. It's not for 5 day later reports. But she calls 5 days later. She starts the call off by saying that she was abused 5 days ago by, how did she phrase it? Like a guy of note.
Yeah, a guy of notoriety or something like that.
And she calls from some random guy's phone. I don't even know who that is. You hear him in the background. I'm just saying, 5 days, in a court of law, anything could have happened in 5 days. Who's to say somebody else didn't put their hands on her? And she only called to do the right thing after she realized it wasn't going to be worked out with Quinchon.
Yeah, I don't like to get into the semantics of actual court cases and this kind of thing. And the only reason I don't personally, while I understand and I get what you're saying, to me, it's not my right to judge or put that out there in any type of way. I'm
Well,
going to
it's
let
in public.
It is public, but it's not my place, in my opinion, to say anything about it. In terms
Listen,
of
it's
that
he
thing.
said, she said at this point, whether she's telling the truth or he's telling the truth. I'll tell you, the court of law is probably going to side in his favor, which means a settlement, because it's never going to trial. We're never going to see that go to trial.
It's just interesting to me, though, to go back to what I was saying before we started talking about the phone call again, was the fact that there's rumors coming out that he's gonna like fight it, basically, instead of trying to settle. It's gonna be super super interesting to see how long it plays out and see what exactly happens with this whole situation, and if that means we're going to add a running back, if we're going to do something like that. And I do want to add real quick too, since we did touch on the phone call, that I hope whatever happened and whatever went down, the right outcome comes out of this, and it isn't something like some of the other situations we've seen with the team.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. You played the clip last week, though, that ownership is pretty certain that he's going to be a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, that was something Jimmy Haslam said last week. Let's move back to the quarterback thing for a second. So today they had the joint practice in Carolina. Stefanski obviously announced that Shedeur was going to be the starter on Friday night. Of course, me and you are both, I think, pretty excited for that game.
Yeah, definitely. Birthday game.
Birthday game indeed. Happy early birthday, by the way, to
This
E.
guy going out of town, who's the one that pushed me to have a night out. He's like, you gotta go out, invite everybody. And then he's like, yeah, I'll be out of town. This guy.
That does happen. Listen, quarterbacks though.
Yeah.
We had obviously a split of reps. They said Flacco and Pickett were going to be limited in today's practice as they have, or not Flacco, excuse me, Pickett and Gabriel are going to be limited in today's practice as they have been with their hamstring injuries. Flacco had 9 reps today in terms of team periods. Sanders had 7. Gabriel had 4. Pickett had 3. Huntley also had 3. That's how that kind of shook out. There wasn't anything crazy notable. There was a great ball from Pickett to, I believe, Judy. It might have been Tillman, as well as Gabriel had a deep ball to, it might have been Deontay Johnson for a touchdown. But other than that, that was mainly in 7-on-7s. Sanders then took most of the reps with the 2s. Still has not touched any of the first-team offensive players whatsoever, though. And then,
Hold on, pause real quick on that because Shannon Sharp kind of eviscerated the Browns. I don't know if you saw where he said they're trying to break him. Talking about Shedeur. What are your thoughts on what Sharp said?
Yeah, and I alluded to this a little bit in the earlier in the episode as well. I don't get why anybody would think that we are trying to sabotage Shedeur or not want to see Shedeur succeed, because if Shedeur is in fact that guy that me and you saw pre-draft, a lot of fans saw pre-draft, Colorado fans definitely thought pre-draft, himself probably thought pre-draft as well. That's the answer to our problems. So why would we not want that to happen? There's no reason for that.
Let me read you what Shannon Sharp said specifically. He said, what are the Browns doing? How are we supposed to trust this organization when it comes to choosing quarterbacks? They haven't figured it out all these years. All of a sudden, now they've got the motherfucking sense. Sorry for my language. That was his language, not mine. The depth chart to me doesn't mean anything. We know what Joe Flacco would do when the lights come on. Kenny Pickett had his opportunity when he was drafted to the Steelers. No disrespect to him. He's not the answer. Dillon Gabriel had success at Oregon, but it's a different ballgame in the NFL when grown men have mouths to feed. Sounds like he's putting a lot of disrespect on both Gabriel and Kenny Pickett.
It's, to me, first of all, you know how I feel, personally, about any national media head talking about a small market like Cleveland. It does nothing for me because you don't even know what's going on half of the time. I know Shannon Sharp is also close to the Sanders family, so of course he's going to go to bat for Shedeur. To me, the Browns' job at the end of the day, as much as I enjoy Shedeur, as much as you enjoy Shedeur, I mean, I'm wearing the shirt, is not to satisfy the Colorado fans, the Sanders family fans, the Browns fans that are fans of Colorado, any mixture of all these people by playing Shedeur. Their job is to evaluate and put out the best quarterback that they believe can play this for this team without any of the outside noise. Now, he mentions that they started Shedeur. The reason Shedeur is starting on Friday is not because, all of a sudden we just came up with a grand idea of maybe Shedeur deserves starting reps. It's because Kenny Pickett's hurt and because Dillon Gabriel's hurt, and it's a preseason game. So the only non-injured quarterback that was on the roster is going out there. Same thing with why they signed Tyler Huntley. Everyone went in a cluster storm of, why did we sign another quarterback? Because we need someone to play on Friday. And as much as I would love to watch Shedeur play 4 quarters, there's no reason for him to play 4 quarters in a preseason game. What did you think about the quote?
Honestly, well, first of all, he talks about them trying to break Shedeur. I think it's ridiculous. You're absolutely right. Listening to a talking head, I just thought it was interesting because there's so much momentum and so much talk around Shedeur specifically. That said, though, honestly, what came out to me when they said Shedeur and Huntley are going to play the whole game, I thought, that's it? Just the 2 of them? It's interesting because he's going to get plenty of reps, but I was a little surprised that they would only have 2 guys playing that entire game. They're kind of forced to, I get it. But it normally you see more than that. Normally you see 3 guys.
3 or 4 potentially, depending on how deep your quarterback room goes. I mean, there's years.
Right.
Remember when Josh Rosen was here? This is a complete side tangent, but Josh Rosen was here and played preseason reps for us, and that didn't bother us. But Snoop Huntley coming in for what, his 3rd time on our practice squad all of a sudden is causing an uproar. Mind-boggling to me.
It is mind-boggling. Shedeur has his chance, though. He's going to get plenty of reps on Friday, and he's going to be able to potentially go and ball out. If that doesn't capture attention, then nothing will. The fact is, like you said, the Cleveland Browns as an organization and Kevin Stefanski as a coach, they want to win, and they're going to play the guy that gives us the best chance of winning. Did maybe they put Shedeur down further than people expected him to go because of his last name? Spoiler alert, the entire NFL did that. We got him where we got him because the entire league did that. So it's not some grand conspiracy to keep him off the field. I think they see him as a developmental project, which he is. And if that shapes into something that can benefit us, you'll see the results of that, which means he'll fly up the depth chart and we'll see more out of him. That's just football, guys. That's what we're talking about. The reason we're so hyper-focused on Shedeur Sanders is because of the hype surrounding his name.
Correct.
Because they retired his number at Colorado despite, not going to the playoffs or winning out or whatever. He's a talent, yes, but there's so much hype that teams felt the need to put him in his place a little bit. And I got to tell you, from everything I've seen, the kid has put his head down and he's worked. I hope he works out because he actually seems like a good kid. I mean, the fact that he told his dad, don't show up to camp, I don't want that distraction. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm working on it. That tells me all I need to know about him right now. But guys, we got to get that spotlight off the quarterbacks. We're doing what media always does, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything that you're saying. I laugh because my next note on my list of things that we haven't talked about yet is you said, get the spotlight off quarterback. And my next note is Deshaun Watson was in Carolina today, by the way, which I thought was absolutely interesting. And you want to give me a reaction on that real quick?
Why? Can we just move on from this guy, whatever it takes?
Right.
At this point, come on, I don't know. Can't we start Cleveland Browns fan shop in the Arctic Circle and send him up there to run it for a few years while the remaining contract is up?
The $230 million sales manager, Deshaun Watson.
I'm fine with that. But he's on the PUP list. Can't we just let it go?
Yeah, no. We'll see. They can't because of the money. So I get why we're playing nice. We have to play. It's a sunk cost, but you can't take that much of a sunk cost. You would be eating the most amount of dead cap in the history of the NFL. Whereas if you do it next year with insurance money, then you save a ton of money. It makes sense. We've talked about this, Erik. I also do not want him in orange and brown anymore. I am with you, but typical Browns fan says it doesn't matter if he plays bad. 1, you'll hear he didn't play with the ones. 2, he didn't get enough reps to be ready. Even though he is throwing to the wide receivers he's been throwing to all camp, which is correct. I do see this as a double positive type of situation for him, though. Him starting, of course, in the Carolina game because of the fact that if he goes out there and plays bad, it isn't going to deter him from being viewed as a potential starter down the line or a potential player for this team because of the situation he's in. Basically, I'm saying, yes, I see what you're saying and I agree with it, but I also see it more in a positive light. Whereas if he goes out there and balls out, he's playing against the ones and it's a good sign from him.
I think what Shedeur, and again, all indication is mentally he's in a good place. But I think what Shedeur should take from all of the noise is to be Lamar Jackson. And I know that might sound silly, but think of how much hate. I mean, he still gets it, but think how much hate Lamar Jackson got coming into this league. He's a wide receiver. He's not a quarterback. The man has done nothing but put up historic numbers. Set aside the playoffs and what happens in the playoffs for a second. He's an elite quarterback, and I think Shedeur should take some comfort knowing that the exact same thing happened to Lamar. We don't need to get into why that happens with these particular quarterbacks. I think it's there. But the typical Browns fan, he's absolutely right in what he's saying. The kid can't win from a social media perspective, so he shouldn't even try. Just go out there and ball out and let your body of work be what proves it. Because I'll tell you this, Shedeur, if you are listening, if you play well for the Browns, nothing else matters, period. You will be the savior of the city. People will love you. And there will still be people that will tear you down. Like the monologue from Air talking about Michael Jordan. They will love to tear you down, and that's never going to go away. But if you stay true to yourself and you work hard, that's all you can do, man.
No, I agree with everything you're saying as well. The monuments that will be built for Shedeur Sanders or any quarterback for this matter, as soon as we get one in this city, is going to be insane. Think of Baker Mayfield and how much we loved him, and put that times 10 because there isn't a question mark anymore. That's just me. Before we move on to guards, Erik, real quick, I want to preview some of the betting lines and stuff for the Browns game and a little bit about the Browns-Panthers game if you're cool with that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the Browns are coming into this game because, yes, you can bet on preseason football if you are feeling like an absolute degenerate and miss betting on football like myself. The Browns are plus 6.5 point favorites. Not favorites, but they're getting 6.5 for the game.
That's not favorites.
Yeah, I said it wrong. Regardless, for the game, the over-under's at 32.5. The Browns' money line is at plus 220 right now. Some of the fun prop bets, not really prop bets, but some of the different bets that are out there. I looked at the two main books, one being FanDuel, the other being DraftKings. On FanDuel, you can bet for the Browns to win by 1 through 13 points for plus 280. And if they win by 14, it's plus 1,200. For the Browns to score first, plus 130 on DraftKings, or over 13.5 is plus 120.
Browns for life. Does Sanders score over 10 points?
Yeah, why not?
I think so,
It's
too.
time to be legendary. It's just another day at the office for him, in my opinion.
I'm going to say he throws 2 touchdowns and maybe even rushes 1. I think he's going to have a hell of a debut, honestly. That's a lot, but...
I don't know if it'll be that much because we're talking he's probably playing a half of football and then they let Snoop play with the 3s and the 4s. So that way we don't have to worry about injuries for one of the quarterbacks they're actually invested in. But I could see him getting 10 or more points on the board for the Browns. I don't think it's impossible. It's not like we're playing a Carolina Ones that are phenomenal team that were in the playoffs last year. We're talking about a team that was trying to figure out if their young quarterback even made sense for them in the first place. They could go out there, have a 4 and out, and Shedeur drive down the field because he has a connection with a guy like Luke Floria or whatnot.
Yeah, by the way, we didn't mention it before, but that preseason game is Friday, and it is on ABC, if I'm not mistaken, as well as the NFL Network. I think
the NFL. Yeah, the NFL Network is having all 3 of our preseason games because of Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, we have talked at length about the hype, but yes, the NFL Network will carry all 3 of our preseason games. So if you are out of town like I am, you can still watch the game. And I want to shout out Typical Browns fan for reposting the stream. It really helps us grow the brand and everything that we got going on as well.
Baltimore, Cincy tomorrow at 4, by the way, and Las Vegas, Seattle at 7. We are so back, baby.
I'm so excited that football is back. I can't wait to sit on my girlfriend's family's couch and watch a bunch of 2s, 3s, and 4s get after it and try to make an NFL roster. God damn it.
You could have been with your boy. Instead, you're hanging out with a bunch of Bengals fans. Are they Bengals fans?
No. Her dad is a Colts fan because they're from Indy. Bree is a Browns fan because of me, and her mom probably honestly doesn't really care, but would say Colts because of Zach.
Okay, fair enough. Anything else from Browns before we jump to our Gardos?
Well, let's do a quick prediction. Why not? What do you think's
Okay.
going to happen? Like score-wise, I know you gave the Shedeur thing. Do you think the Browns win this preseason game? I know it's kind of like who really cares, but
Right.
let's do it for the fun of it.
Yeah, I do think the Browns will win. I think we'll see a 28-14 win. Couple touchdowns from Shedeur. By the way, I do want to get into. We're gonna have a segment later this year where we bet weekly on NFL and we can track our results. You and I. I'm really looking forward to that. To be honest with you, DraftKings, FanDuel, whoever wants to sponsor that segment, hit us up. But yeah, I think the Browns get the win. Honestly, preseason though is the time to try things. So if you get frustrated at Stefanski for a certain play call or the fact that he didn't go for it on 4th and 1, or he did go for it on 4th and 6, or whatever he's doing, you're not trying to win the game. Just know that. So if you're, I know it's frustrating as a Browns fan, but if you're looking at it going, hey, they could have gone for it there and won or whatever, they're trying to see the pieces and who's going to work and who's going to make the roster. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
So I just want to let it be known, because the bet was if the Browns win by 14 or more, you get plus 1,200 on that. So $10 turns into $120. Erik, multiple people in the group, or not in the group chat, in our comments, Erik, everyone is saying, take that bet. So go out there, spend your money, because Erik signed, sealed, and approved it right here on At the Office.
28-14, final prediction.
That's funny. I don't know. This is so hard. I'll echo Dylan Northrup for the hell of it and say 31-17 Browns is my prediction. And if it ends up being 12-10, I almost said Bengals, Panthers, then so be it. It's a preseason game. I'm here to watch and see what's going on with some of these young bloods that we got on the Cleveland Browns roster right now.
All right, let's switch to Guardians. Gavin Williams had a hell of an outing today, which we'll get to in a second. But first, I want to give you two numbers, Noah. The first is 339,930,725, and the second number is 97,613,965. Any idea what those numbers represent?
The payroll of the New York Mets and the Cleveland Guardians.
That's right. That's the adjusted payroll total for the Mets and the Guardians. The Guardians come in at, what's my math, 200 some million short, basically. Like 230 or 242, something like that. And they just swept them. They finished that sweep today, where Gavin Williams had a no-no through 9 innings. Or I should say 8 1/3 innings. He almost completed it until Juan Soto came up and smacked out a solo home run shot, which was the only hit of the day. But what a performance from Gavin Williams, taking on that $339 million payroll. They didn't look like a $339 million team. Or I should say the Guardians are looking great.
Not only did he take on that $330 million payroll, he said, I don't give a about your payroll. Here's another strike. And another strike. He only threw 6 strikes, but the fact that he almost
threw
a no-hitter.
6 strikeouts, not strikes.
Oh, strikes. He threw plenty of strikes. I meant
Yeah,
strikeouts.
right.
That's on me. That's on me.
I was going to say there were a lot of wafted out balls if that was the case.
Yeah.
He did have quite a few walks, but all in all, quite a performance from the team. And quite a performance in general from the Guardians. Here it is now, 8.2 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. I don't know. I don't want to put this out into the universe, but I'm going to anyway. We are 6 games back right now from the Tigers. We were 15 games back. We were talking not that long ago about can we make a playoff spot with the wild card, not the division, not winning the division, and now all of a sudden we look up, it's early August, and the division could be in our sights.
The division could be in our sights. 6 games behind the Tigers. The Tigers are 7-13 in their last 20 games. The Guardians are 7 of their last 8, within 1 game of the AL wildcard spot. So we are 1 game back from just being in the playoffs in general.
Yeah.
Something
Which
else
is
to
Seattle. That's
Correct.
that 1 game.
Something else to note. The Guardians had never won a game in Citi Field where the Mets play until Monday's season opener. And then they picked up those bats and they screwed on a broom head and said, get out of here, Juan, and your overpaid ass team. Because Cleveland's back, baby. Even though we thought we were not back at all. I am feeling very good. I am feeling very energetic. I'm feeling fantastic about the Cleveland Guardians right now. And that is because they are still firing on all cylinders despite all the adversity that they have had to face, whether it be betting, allegations, trading away a guy that they thought was their ace. Newsflash, Gavin Williams is the ace. He almost threw a no-no. I'm feeling good about the Guardians front to back, and we finally called up my guy, CJ Kayfus, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing about this team, and we saw it last year, they have heart and they have fight. And you could forgive anybody early in this year for not realizing that that fight is still there because they didn't look like they had it. But with everything that's gone down, losing 2 pitchers, which were not small losses, by the way, your starting closer and one of your starting pitchers who was part of a deal that gave up Andres Jimenez, by the way, and yet they just keep plugging along. I'm frustrated and I'm happy. I'm frustrated because if we win the division and we make the playoffs, and even if we go, let's say somehow we make the ALCS, I don't see that happening, but let's just pretend for a second. It signals to ownership once again that being cheap asses is okay. That's where I'm disappointed. But I'm very happy that Guardians baseball is doing as well as they're doing, and this is a well-coached team.
That is a completely valid take to talk about, it's showing the ownership and the Dolans that they can continue to be cheap because we made it to the ALCS again, or God forbid a World Series, or hell, even the playoffs at this point with this cobbled up roster with betting allegations. And really, that's more so what I'm pointing to because I think they were going to trade Clase for a haul, all things considered, for some of the moves we saw at the deadline, which we talked
with
about
the Padres,
at the
jeez.
Yeah. I'm feeling good front to back. Yeah. I can be upset that the Dolans are the owners, and I can agree with what you're saying. But at the end of the day, if I can watch entertaining, winning baseball, football, basketball, I forget the name of the league for the Lake Erie Monsters right now. Obviously, G League basketball, WNBA when it comes, women's soccer, regardless. I don't care who the owner is. I don't care what's going on. As long as they're winning and I'm entertained and I'm having a good time, then I'm in a good mood. And right now, after what happened with the Guardians today, with Gavin Williams, what's been going on in their last 8 games where they've won 7 of them, I am feeling ecstatic about this team because they are starting to click in different levels, whether that be Angel Martinez showing up, whether that be CJ Kayfus getting called up, whether that be, for better or worse, some of the highs and lows of Brian Rocchio and Gabriel Arias and all of the different players going on. And of course, Browns for Life 18 said it best himself, the fact that Stephen Kwan is still a Cleveland Guardian.
You mentioned it, but let's get into it. CJ Kayfus is in the show. He started August 2nd, I believe, was his first game. So after a few games to get adjusted, I'm curious what your thoughts are. You see his stats there, batting .283. That can't be right.
This is his stats in Columbus.
Got it. I'm like, wait, because I think he's batting in the show .250, 4 hits so far, 16 at bats. Correct. I said .250, yeah. 1 ribby, which was a ground out, and an OPS of .563. Walk me through what you think so far, because I think it's looking promising.
I think it's looking promising too. I mean, it's super early to tell. We're talking a couple days of being called up to the league, but he's not getting hits, which we've seen before with even bigger name prospects and whatnot. He's not making plays. Let me pull up this play that he had today in the game. Great outfield grab here by CJ Kayfus in the middle of Gavin Williams trying to, of course, get his no bid submitted. And all in all, I think it's all positive things that we've seen out of the kid thus far. Hits have been fine. Fielding's been good. They've had him play all over the place. He's played DH. He's played first base. He's played outfield. He's a true first baseman. They've obviously tried to get him to play a lot more outfield because that's the biggest point of contention on the major league roster right now is we only really have one true outfielder.
Yeah.
And through, I think he's lived up to everything that I would expect thus far. It's not like he's burning the roof down and batting like 700 or something like that in his first couple games, but 250, 1 RBI, 4 hits, 16 at bats. I know we already said those stats, but all things considered, 2 thumbs up so far. Let's keep playing the kid. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. First of all, it takes time to get adjusted to the majors. Like it or not, the speed of the game is just so much different, even from AAA. But yeah, he looks good so far. He went 0 for 4, including that RBI ground out to start his career in the majors. But the next day, his first hit is a double against the Twins in the 9th inning when they were rallying. I mean, what's not to like there? He has the tools. It's just whether or not he's going to adjust. And so far, I think he shows that he has that. He's adaptable and plays well on defense, as you mentioned. And even, Votes praising how versatile he is, because he can play first base, he can play outfield, he can play DH. And his approach has been commended. So I'm excited, and I think that it's encouraging. Obviously, like anything in pro sports, time will tell, but everything so far looks good.
Everything so far looks good to me indeed. We did have a question a little bit further back, again from Browns for Life 18. He asked, will the Guardians call anyone else up? And I'm not going to be sitting here and acting like I am a minor league expert. I do enjoy minor league games. I love paying attention to prospects. My opinion is that we probably will, just with the odds of how things work, see another person get called up. But I don't know if it's going to be any of the big names. I don't think Benzana is coming up this year, even though he is lighting it up right now in AAA. I believe he's in AAA now. Might be AA. And no, it is AA. He's lighting it up right now in Akron. He's batting like 383 or something in his last 10 games or something like that. And I don't think it's going to be Chase DeLauder because the kid just cannot.
I was going to say, what about
stay.
I
He
think they
can't stay
should. Why
healthy.
not?
Because he might not even be back until the end of August. What are you going to call him up for 2 weeks?
Why not? Let's do it. I'd like to see it.
Honestly, I get it, but I know how this front office works as well. And with major league clocks and stuff like that, again, I'm not trying to sit here and act like I'm an expert on things like major league clocks and prospects and whatnot, but I could see them holding out another year on Chase DeLauder. But maybe Chase DeLauder opening day roster. They said that this year. Who knows?
I wouldn't be shocked if we see him at some point this year. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, me either. It wouldn't shock me, but I'm like, I don't know, 15%. I think it'll happen. I just think with the injury and how long he could be out and all of that, I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger this year because of it, unfortunately.
Mr. Olson, I have
Mr.
one last
Erik.
topic for us.
Oh, God.
This is a little off the cuff because we didn't plan it.
Do I got to create a banner? I'm ready to type.
Oh, no, just put our generic one up there.
Okay.
I'm just curious, though, because I want to talk Cleveland Pro Soccer just for a moment.
So that's funny, real quick. I didn't mean to cut
Yeah.
you off, but normally when you ask me at the end, what do you got anything else you want to say? And I was going to say, go check out Cleveland Pro Soccer. They dropped a poll for the new name, so we're on the same wavelength.
Well, yeah, I actually want to talk about it because they did. They said, so they had a post today on Instagram 6 hours ago that said, pick our superpower. The elements are in play. Each name on the Cleveland women's team shortlist channels a different force. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. This is Cleveland Pro Soccer, the women's team that will be here starting in the 2028 season, I think it is.
No, it's 26.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. 28 is the men's, I think, and 26 is the women's, or maybe I have that flipped.
Okay, 26. That's great. That's even sooner. First of all, I'm so excited for this, not just as a soccer fan, but the element of branding and seeing new gear and what they're going to come up with. You got to buy a kit when it comes out, right?
Of course.
Um, so they gave us 5 options. Obviously, Gina Prodan Kelly was on the show a few months ago, friend of the show. She's the CMO over there, and I'm sure she's the one that put this post up. But here are our options, right? Cleveland Sirens, and they'll have a little thing about each of them. Mythic Power, Untamed Energy, Born of the Lake. Cleveland City Emeralds, the crown jewel of Northeast Ohio, radiant and rare. Cleveland Loyal SC, Relentless Spirit, Fiery Devotion, Unwavering Through It All. Cardinal Cleveland SC, Move Over, Rebird, She's Native, Subversively Stunning, and Fiercely Loyal to this place. And then finally, Forest City SC, Rooted in Legacy, where steel trusses meet wild and city grows from soil. I'm just going to give you my take real quick. My 2 favorites here are Forest City SC, FCSC. Forest City's just cool. It's uniquely heritage to Cleveland, of course. And I think you can have some fun things there. But I got to say, we disagreed on this earlier. My favorite, I think, is Cleveland Sirens. I like the mythology behind it. I know you said earlier it reminds you more of the ocean than a lake, but a siren is meant to lure sailors. There's plenty of sailors in Lake Erie. I'm digging that one.
So I'm not digging the sirens, and that's because we talked about this in our chat a little bit before the show. When I think of a siren, I think of the ocean, just with like the Odyssey and blah, 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 blah. Put that to the side. My
Can't wait for
favorite
that
are.
movie, by the way.
Oh, I know, me too. My favorite, personally, is probably the Emeralds or Forest City. Forest City to me, I
Emeralds.
think. Yeah, I like the Emeralds, man. It's a
In our
different
group
type of energy.
chat, when I shared the post, you said the emeralds.
Oh
I'm
no, I
putting.
said the Emeralds like I like it.
Oh, okay. I think I misread that.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of the Emeralds, just with ties to the city. But I go back and forth because I think we even mentioned when we were talking to Gina on the show that we liked the idea. It might have been me, now that I'm thinking about it, of leaning into that Forest City branding when it came to the name. So I know I'm saying Emeralds, and I guess I'm saying it more to disagree with you. But Forest City to me, I don't know. I love that nickname for the city. I always have, and I feel like it's super underutilized.
I think first of all, shout out to the team at Cleveland Pro Soccer, because she talked about when she was on the show the importance of getting fan feedback and input from Clevelanders, and they're doing just that. I feel like they would lean towards Forest City just for the simple fact that she mentioned that she's a huge fan of the Portland Hearts of Pine. And if you look at their gear, you could see that change the logo, change it to Cleveland. You could kind of see that same vibe. Um, Listen, I love Forest City FC. I would be perfectly fine with that. I don't know why the Sirens just seem unique to me. I think you
The
could have the
sirens, the
chance and the
sirens,
crowd.
it's unique. It just doesn't. To me, it doesn't tie to the lake. Like like it's trying to. Like I get it, but to me, it doesn't do it for me. And I say that, and if they end up being the Sirens, I'm going to be all about the Sirens because it's a Cleveland sports team, and that's how I rock and mother roll. So
Well, the new roller coaster at Cedar Point is called Siren's Curse.
that's a
Just
good one
saying.
too. That is a good one. That's fair. That's totally fair. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see, as two brand guys through and through in our personal lives and day to day lives. I'm really excited to see how this thing gets unveiled, and I can't wait to buy some merchandise with a new logo that is representing the beautiful city that we're from.
By the way, I just Googled real quick Sirens of the Lake because I was just curious what would come up.
Yeah.
And I'm scrolling through that first page on Google, and there's a Reddit post from 3 years ago. Is Erik, Erik, Siren of the Lake? And I have no idea the context. It's under a subreddit called Box 5, which I'm not even sure what that is. Um, so I don't know. Maybe fitting. I think it's a band.
Erik,
Anyway,
Erik has now found his new favorite name because he found a tether on Reddit. That's where we're at the end of At the Office on Wednesday night.
I said I like the name before that. Speaking of, though, let's wrap things up. Anything else to add before we get out of here, my man?
Nah, you took it out of my mouth. We got to talk a little Cleveland Pro Soccer, and I'm really excited to see what Gina and Co do over there, man.
I am too, and I, for one, will be there, just like I'll be there for WNBA matchups. Cleveland is a great sports city, and I can't wait to see these new teams arrive.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining us at The Office, sponsored by D&D Meadery. Don't forget to subscribe or hit that download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of our show. Make sure you check out all of our socials, which is the @ The Office CLE, including YouTube, where you can see shows like our live show that we just did at Hofbrauhaus. It's a lot of fun. Go check that out. Little bit of a teaser. Noah and I have a lot of things planned coming up, including, like he's mentioning or motioning to his hat, we're going to do some live shows from uni. So before some Browns home games, including the home opener, which will be the day after I get back from vacation. So God help me. Vodka is probably going to help me. We are going to be live from uni. So stop by. We'll let you know where we're at. We'll post, of course. But we're also going to be going around Muni after the live show and getting some content for our new Monday morning show, which is going to recap the Browns the day before. And then, of course, we'll have our usual show on Wednesday. So we have a lot of fun content that doesn't even count the things that we want to do, like challenges. John might be gone from the show, but there's still a few challenges that he'll be involved with as well that we have to wrap things up. So a lot coming. Don't miss them.
Can't wait, man. I can't wait for Browns season to be back. I'm so excited, man.
Football's here. All right, that wraps us up. As usual, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.